Welcome back, deep divers. Today we're diving deep into, well, the mind of Bill Gates.
Yeah.
We're going to be breaking down his interview with Poor and Company.
Uh-huh.
He talks about everything from his childhood
Yeah.
to his thoughts on the AI explosion that's been happening.
Right.
So there's a lot to cover. Strap in.
Yeah, there is. There is a lot to cover.
One thing that really struck me was just how open he was
Mm.
about his early life, and
Yeah.
even hinting that, if he were a kid today,
hmm
he might be diagnosed on the autism spectrum.
What I found really fascinating was that he almost embraced it.
Yeah.
He didn't see it as a limitation, really, but almost like, a source of strength that
Right.
kind of fueled, his laser focus and his obsession with math and software.
Yeah, it makes you think,
Like how often, right?
how often are those things linked?
Yeah, exactly. And it makes you think about neurodiversity.
Totally.
Like, what if instead of labeling everything as a disorder, we recognize them as strengths,
Mm.
different ways of thinking, different ways of learning?
Yeah.
What kind of potential could we unlock?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And there was that anecdote, about how
Oh, yeah.
his parents took him to a psychologist when he was younger.
Oh, I love that.
And the psychologist, he was kind of a handful as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And the psychologist said he had an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
Hey, your parents are on your side, no matter what.
It's amazing.
It's powerful.
Right.
It really is.
Like Bill Gates kind of took that and ran with it.
Oh, yeah, it seemed to, really stick with him.
Yeah.
His parents are always going to be there,
Uh-huh.
It speaks to, early influence, right?
Yeah.
The people we surround ourselves with,
Absolutely.
the messages we hear,
Yeah.
they all shape who we become.
And recognizing our own unfair advantages.
Both.
Like we all have them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Supportive families.
Yeah.
Access to education, Yeah, and it's not about guilt, it's about awareness.
Right.
It's not something to feel bad about, but
Yeah.
something to recognize and leverage.
Leverage for good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is interesting because Gates was very open about making mistakes, especially in those early Microsoft days.
Leading other people.
Yeah.
He was so used to, those long hours,
Yeah.
intense focus, but that's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You had to kind of learn that people contribute in different ways,
Yeah.
and that's part of being a good leader.
There's that story about him getting in trouble at Harvard
Yeah.
for using the computers too much.
Too much, but
But he was writing code for the first personal computer.
yeah.
So he was, bending the rules a little
He's
bit.
so focused on his work.
But one of his professors actually saw his potential,
Yeah, it's crazy.
intervened.
Instead of getting in trouble,
Yeah.
he got a second chance.
Second chances are powerful, man.
They are. That sometimes all it takes is one person to see that potential in you and,
Yeah.
believe in you.
To give you that chance.
Yeah.
It's amazing how even the smallest acts of kindness can have such a ripple effect,
It's true.
So switching gears a little bit,
Yeah.
one thing that
Yeah.
kind of concerned me, Gates talked about the proposed cuts to USAID,
Oh, yeah.
and he was particularly worried about what that would mean for global health.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Like USAID is so crucial for
Yeah.
things like TEPFAR, right? Which has been so successful in treating HIV/AIDS.
Yeah.
They do a lot for malaria prevention, too.
He paints a pretty dark picture, doesn't he?
He does.
I mean, he estimates millions of lives could be lost
It's heavy stuff.
if that funding is cut.
Yeah,
So does this even affect us?
it does.
If we're not directly involved in those programs?
It does. It does.
How so?
There's this big misconception about foreign aid.
Mhm.
It's this huge drain on our budget, but it's really only 1%.
Right.
And it does so much more than just humanitarian aid.
Oh, okay. It's not just charity.
Exactly. It's a smart investment.
Okay.
Supporting developing nations. It creates more stable societies,
Uh-huh.
opens up new markets,
Makes sense.
reduces the risk of conflict. There are moral reasons,
Yeah.
economic reasons,
Uh-huh.
even geopolitical reasons for supporting it.
Right, right.
Think about China's growing influence, right?
Yeah.
It's this complex geopolitical world out there,
Yeah.
and foreign aid is a tool, for building relationships and promoting our interests on the world stage.
Yeah, it's interesting how Gates's views on AI and consciousness have changed.
It really has.
He even mentioned a 1997 interview
Oh, yeah.
where he was like, oh, yeah, human intelligence in a machine right around the corner.
Uh-huh.
Now he's got this more nuanced perspective.
It's like being a parent and watching his kids grow gave him this, new appreciation for how complex human consciousness is. He's like, yeah, AI can be amazing at stuff,
Yeah.
even better than humans at some things,
Right.
but it's still missing that depth of understanding.
Yeah, it's
I
like
hear you.
AI can process information and solve problems,
Yeah.
but can it really understand the world like we do?
Right.
You know, like,
It's that feeling, the intuition, the empathy that it doesn't quite get yet.
and that raises some, like, pretty deep questions, doesn't it?
Deep, deep questions.
Like, as AI gets more, woven into our lives,
Yeah.
we can't just focus on what it can do.
Yeah.
We got to think about the ethics,
Totally.
like the philosophy of it all.
It's not just efficiency anymore.
Yeah.
It's values,
Right.
morality.
What does it even mean to be human?
We're in uncharted territory, really, creating this thing with huge potential,
Yeah.
but also, like, potential risks.
Huge risks if we don't get it right. Like, it's like we're writing the next chapter of human history.
I like that.
And we got to be really careful with the story we're telling.
We do. And it's not a story just for, like, the tech experts, right? We need philosophers,
Yeah.
ethicists,
Right.
social scientists, everyone.
Everyone needs to be a part of it.
Because it's going to impact us all.
Absolutely. Now, I want to go back to something Gates talked about.
Yeah.
Self-discovery.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about piecing together his memories
Yeah.
to, like, better understand himself. I thought that was really insightful.
It's such a human thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, we all look back and try to make sense of our past.
Absolutely.
And, like, even someone like Bill Gates
Right.
recognizes the role of luck and chance in his journey.
And he was so specific about the support he received.
Yes.
Family, mentors, colleagues.
Absolutely.
Like, he was very clear that he didn't get there alone.
It shows you how important mentors and guidance are,
Yeah.
especially for, young people. Having someone who believes in you helps you develop your talents.
Yeah.
That can change everything.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's about creating that environment where people feel empowered
Right.
to take risks, learn from mistakes, pursue their passions.
It's not just about, like, individual success either, right?
Right, it's about building a culture
Yeah.
of collaboration and support.
Where everyone had that opportunity
Yeah,
to contribute their unique talents and make a difference.
absolutely. Moving past that whole lone genius thing
Yeah.
and recognizing that real progress comes from working together.
Collective effort.
Yes, and diverse perspectives.
Okay, so I have to ask.
Yeah.
When Gates was talking about AI and consciousness,
Uh-huh.
did it make you wonder if machines could ever truly feel or develop, like, a sense of self?
I mean, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Philosophers,
Yeah.
scientists, they've been wrestling with that for ages.
Yeah.
And while AI is, like, incredibly advanced,
Yeah.
I think we're still so far from understanding consciousness.
Yeah, there's something about,
Yeah.
the subjective experience of being human.
Right?
Just feels different
It does feel different.
than anything we can program.
It's not just about information,
Right.
solving problems.
Yeah.
It's emotions, intuition, relationships.
Yeah.
It's the messy parts
The messy, unpredictable parts.
that make us human.
Yeah. And maybe that's a good thing.
Maybe.
While we're trying to create machines that think and learn,
Yeah.
we also need to appreciate,
Yeah.
like, our own human experience.
It's complexity of it.
Yeah, it's a reminder that technology should serve humanity,
Absolutely.
like the other way around.
That's a good point.
So as we explore these frontiers of technology,
Yeah.
we got to appreciate and nurture the things that make us human.
We do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So moving into the final stretch of our deep dive into Bill Gates' interview,
All right.
there's one more point I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
He mentioned having dinner with President Trump shortly after the election.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was trying to make the case for preserving foreign aid funding.
Right.
But it doesn't sound like he got very far.
It's a shame because it brings up this bigger issue, like
Yeah.
the public's misunderstanding of foreign aid.
You mean how people think it's, like, this massive chunk of our budget
Exactly.
when it's really not?
And they underestimate the impact.
Yeah.
Like, remember, Gates said USAA was distributing over $40 billion a year.
Right.
That's a lot of money going towards fighting disease,
Yeah.
alleviating poverty
Yeah.
around the world.
And he also stressed that the Gates Foundation,
Uh-huh.
while significant,
Yeah.
it can't replace those government funds.
It can't. It puts things into perspective,
It really does.
doesn't it? Like, we're all connected globally.
Yeah.
What happens in one part of the world affects us all eventually.
Right.
Think about the spread of disease, economic instability, climate change.
Yeah.
These are global problems that need global solutions.
It's a good reminder that we can't just isolate ourselves,
No.
pretend these problems don't exist.
Right.
You know, we got to engage, we got to collaborate, we got to support each other
We do.
for moral reasons and practical reasons.
Absolutely.
And that responsibility goes beyond just governments
Yeah.
and big organizations. Like
Right.
you, as an individual,
Yeah.
you can make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, donate to charities,
Yeah.
volunteer your time, even just educating yourself about these issues.
Every action counts.
Yeah,
It really does.
I like that.
Yeah.
Every action counts.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
It is.
Now, before we wrap up,
Okay.
there's this one comment from Gates that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
He was talking about how when he was finishing his book, he suddenly realized the potential for software to change the world. Like he envisioned this, what he called the world's best software factory.
Right.